Now, for somebody who appreciates a dynamic situation because he's somebody who has a very facile mind and understands the position of power that he occupies, that therefore he doesn't go into situations where he doesn't have an answer. There's very few situations that he would put himself in that he didn't have some way out. So for the writers to offer an opportunity for him to be speechless, baffled, enraged, overcome with emotional attachment, incapable of describing certain relationships, that was all new terrain for Corey. And having never explored a character in my professional career for this period of time, I was intimidated that we were going to lose a good thing.
I have to say, over the holidays, so many people went up to me and were like, "Are you watching the morning show? Did you watch season 3 of the morning show?" What do you think? Why do you think there was such a big response for this past season amongst the fans?
Well, that's a great question. I suppose, the relationships as they've built over the first 2 seasons get tested to their limits when Charlotte Stout and the rest of the writers decided to throw the whole world at the morning show. And there's no question that every character was put under a tremendous amount of stress and strain,
right.
A lot of highs and lows, a lot of pressure. And I'm sure there's something exhilarating for the audience about seeing some characters that they've started to identify with be put under that kind of pressure.
And, let's just get to it. What did you make of Corey's arc this year?
Well,
there's a lot to take in.
It started, I was, my initial response was way too much Corey. I had the instinct with Corey that one of the interesting things about this kind of personality and one of the interesting things about these people who occupy these positions of power is when aspects of them are cloaked in mystery, it gives them more power to make capricious decisions with, sort of wisdom behind their side because you don't really know how their mind is working. And that was definitely in the calculus and the creation of Corey. So I was intimidated for sure at the amount of emotional, psychological discovery that was coming Corey's way.
It's a lot of wheeling and dealing for one man.
And also, I really enjoyed playing somebody who wasn't thrown by shit. So to have to play a whole season, a lot more of it, where everything is throwing him was uncomfortable. I appreciated the other version more.
What do you think? As an actor, I guess, what do you think was your biggest challenge in tackling his arc this year?
Well, trying to discover what would make the most sense for the audience about what happens when he is over his skis. It's a way of saying that he's not in control in the way that he is typically in control. Now, for somebody who appreciates a dynamic situation because he's somebody who has a very facile mind and understands the position of power that he occupies, that therefore he doesn't go into situations where he doesn't have an answer. There's very few situations that he would put himself in that he didn't have some way out. So for the writers to offer an opportunity for him to be speechless, baffled, enraged, overcome with emotional attachment, incapable of describing certain relationships, that was all new terrain for Corey. And having never explored a character in my professional career for this period of time, I was intimidated that we were going to lose a good thing.
Do you think ultimately he got what he deserved by the end of that?
Not yet.
No.
I think it alludes to the kind of consequences.
That's right.
That perhaps could be coming his way.
Well,
But
he got a little comeuppance there at the end.
a little,
Yeah.
a little. But it's hard to imagine exactly what a proper comeuppance for Corey would be, because he seems to roll with everything. That was, truthfully, one of the superpowers that I felt Carrie, Aaron, and I explored when we first started discussing who Corey was. He genuinely, in my way of thinking of him and playing him, has no fear, and no fear about living in a hostel in South America.
Right.
He is somebody who believes in his own agency. He believes in his capacity to navigate the social dynamics of almost any situation. And if there's a situation that he finds is too complex mathematically, he'll remove himself. So there were, now I don't remember the question.
She should have just said yes.
There's a lot of the way the shooting went. Going a long monologue, and then I'd forget the last part and we'd cut.
I mean, since you just brought it up, listen, you've done a lot of stage work. Obviously, we've seen you in too many movies to count. What are some of, like, in terms of production, some of the challenges of playing Corey?
Well, television, the actual making of television, moves very quickly, and it has a different rhythm than any other medium I've worked in before. So when you're playing a character who is meant to deliver dialogue with a kind of precision that Corey approaches the world with a big camera move, and they call, like a oneer, where they're going to do a 2-minute scene in one shot.
Right.
There's not room for Corey to screw up. And so the discipline that it takes to make sure that I have done the proper text analysis, that I understand not just the language, but the thought behind it, with the speed that Corey operates in the timeline that they've given me the script. It is, it's just rigorous and exciting, but rigorous and sweaty.
I know. When did you film this past season? When was that production?
That's a great question. I feel like it was like 6 months.
Ask the person who worked on the show. Yeah.
2022.
22, okay.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Because obviously past January 6th, past COVID. There's a lot.
Right.
There's a lot that goes on in season 3 that you guys cover in terms of what the recent
and
history.
It was happening in real time.
Yeah.
And they were writing to it in real time, which, is a nightmare.
Do you sort of like it though?
No.
I feel like, you're you're a stage actor. You're in the moment.
No. Stage is the opposite. No. So I spend 5 weeks working with a director and the other actors and the production design team to find the right light at the right moment to construct a moment that appears as though it's happening for the first time.
Right.
I don't like improv. Especially as another character. So it's a glib way of saying I love the work more than anything.
Sure.
And this has tested the limits of my ability in this medium, unlike anything else I've ever done before. And there's no question, in the middle of your life, all of my friends are actors, and I'm incredibly grateful and lucky for the career that I've had and the opportunities that I've had. And to have an opportunity to play somebody like Corey is a gift that is remarkable, and it's unusual. And so that's like the beginning and the end of it. But there is, an additional addendum, which is that I'm older and it's hard, and your mind doesn't work as well as it did when it was 20. You take for granted that you can memorize all of this stuff when in fact your mind is slowly, that muscle isn't improving as you get old. I don't know if that's happened to anybody else out there, but the thing that we took for granted as actors, which is our ability to internalize text, slowly evaporates, and that makes it that makes it much more complicated. The number of times I bet Mimi has a great reel of me getting into a monologue, getting like midway through it, firing on all cylinders, and just turning straight into the camera and saying, I don't know where I am anymore. I mean, there's just got to be a million of them.
Well, you are working with a veteran actress, Jennifer Aniston. Obviously, Reese Witherspoon's done so much television as well. Can you talk a little bit about your off-screen relationship with them?
Yeah, they are incredibly supportive and obviously formidable colleagues. And I feel like the entire environment that they have fostered and created has allowed for a unique kind of ingenuity that I am relishing. And they are a primary force behind the creation of that. And so it's been, as I say, having the two of them give me this opportunity and champion my participation and my thoughts about the character and how I could participate and best exploit his potential has been extremely rewarding. So gratitude is the thing that comes to mind.
They're both executive producers on the show as well. I mean, do they have specific input into your character?
For sure. They're deeply vested in the way that this story unfolds and have been from the beginning. And their interest in all of the characters and obviously not just in the arcs of their characters, which are dynamic to say the least, but the way in which the people around them are evolving and growing and changing and is a major part of the creative collaboration.
I feel like we also have to talk about the new cast member, Jon Hamm, also obviously a TV veteran. I'm sorry to say that we did not screen the episode when you guys have a really delightful conversation in the sauna, but I love the dynamic between your two characters this season. Can you talk a little bit just about what it was like working with him?
I have been a longtime admirer of Jon's, and our paths have crossed superficially through mutual friends and being at different events together. But having the chance to work with someone who is so dedicated and disciplined with his work and work ethic, like a real professional, was not just exciting for me as a colleague, but for Corey as a character, to have somebody who has the authority to challenge him in a different way, and someone who has as capable and as sneaky a mind as Corey, participate with the full force that Jon Hamm brings to it. Between this performance and my son and I are enjoying Fargo right now. That performance, he's kicking some fucking ass right now on TV, and it's exciting to watch and be a part of.
Well, he deserves a break, I feel like,
He doesn't want one, man. He's a pro. He's out there. He wants to get after it.
Because you had so many intense scenes with him, is it something that you would, I don't know, like take your relationship off screen a little bit? Did you have to form some sort of bond, or
no?
Nothing like that.
We all know the same people. We've sort of come up together with the same group, so it's all just kind of chummy, happy that we get a chance to work together, and then as soon as we start rolling, we get to pull the knives out.
Yeah, no, it's true. Did you like how what did you make of his arc at the end in that last episode?
Well, I mean,
he really does get the comeuppance.
Yeah,
he does.
For sure.
Yeah.
But there's no question that there's a part of Corey that just wanted to be the one to smack him. And so I feel like there's still room for his character to pay.
Is there something you're not really telling us about?
No, I have no idea if he's coming back, but Corey's going to be thinking about him for a while.
What other, there were a lot of Corey highlights, like you said. We saw you doing a little bit of a John Travolta Saturday Night Fever homage.
Oh, yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah,
speaking of oneers,
Yeah, we saw you doing some singing again. What were some of your highlights throughout the year?
Well, it was really fun to do that scene. Tucker Gates, who directed that episode, the one with where they're at the upfronts,
Right.
And
The
Travolta,
Yes.
the Staying Alive.
Right.
He had it was in the script, but it was sort of simple in the script. Corey gets out of the car and to Staying Alive walks through the the gallows of the theater, and what Tucker designed was so dynamic and really the time that he spent constructing a space for me to easily move into was appreciated. There was a lot of work that went into it, and it was not mine. I got there to work that day, and he said, "This is what we're going to do. Follow this line through here. We're going to go down through here, and these are the places that that Corey needs to have a little bit." And this was a sort of new experience for Corey, showing the audience the moments when he's gathering himself and not sure of himself and somewhat fractured and tentative. We haven't seen much of that from Corey. So to do that as one shot in real time with this incredibly orchestrated piece of, technical craftsmanship. There was a man on the Steadicam, our primary operator, who was just superlative, but he had to manage an enormous load in carrying that shot. And so to witness that kind of technical proficiency and be a part of it is really joyful.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. You kind of... I remember I was doing a play with Ian McKellen one time, and he was so good in this one moment that I was taken out of it while I was on stage. And that's a very rare experience. You're often so possessive of the work that you've done to put in it. You don't allow yourself that opportunity. But that was a scene that while I was doing it, I was like, this is cool, man. And they were playing Staying Alive.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, so you had to be in the moment, right? You had to hear it.
Oh,
to
man,
do it.
I'm telling you, it was great. Well, we did that during rehearsal, just so I could sort of get the rhythm of what they were going for. And then the sound engineer said, listen, we've set it up so you can hear it the whole time if you want to do it. And we had to do a couple of takes without the sound so that they could get the dialogue. But walking through that theater with all that stuff going on was... Corey was in his element.
Yeah, it's so good. It is really fun to watch. And then we got to just talk a little bit about the singing scene also that we...
That was another
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that in the script and I was like, oh no, not again. Singing does not come naturally to me.
So in season
my son will
one,
attest.
you sang what, Sondheim?
Yes, correct.
No
yes.
big deal, just Sondheim.
Yeah.
And then this time you sang Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Yeah,
So
correct.
again,
Yeah.
no big deal, just like a
Marvin
Motown
Gaye's cool, that's
classic.
fine. Yeah.
So explain was it really that nerve-wracking to do it?
Oh yeah, it was awful. Well, I mean, for both of them, I called my singing teacher from acting school. And so Deb Lapidus was guiding me through each of them. Then there is a great benefit to doing it on screen. That is to say, you go in and record it, and then they auto-tune the shit out of it. And then when they play it during the take, you sing along with it, and they get a little bit of both. So you have the confidence that it will be relatively on key, and that you can put some thought behind it. But it is certainly not, the experience of me singing it live. And of course, it was with Lindsay Duncan, who is an actor I've admired for, Lindsay Duncan, an actor I've admired for years and years. And to get the opportunity to work with her and sing with her was really fantastic.
But overall, it just shows different shades to the character.
Definitely.
That's really...
Corey can sing.
Yeah.
Corey likes to sing. Corey's singing all the time when he's not on camera.
Yeah.
And he's good enough at it. And but what he's even better at is managing moments, interpersonal moments. So when he sang with Alex in the beginning, he knew it was an opportunity for him to bond with Alex, understand something about Alex, bring her into his world a little bit, reveal a bit of himself. So that kind of storytelling is something Corey does naturally. And this was an attempt, I think, to give an origin to that kind of interpersonal management, which is something that he did with his mom, and a way to solve problems, a way to manage her sort of punitive emotional attachment to him sometimes, and smooth things over. And so from that perspective, it was a really lovely thing to play.
When we watched this episode, I don't know if you guys just saw this for the first time or the second time, or you're going to binge it and watch it again. What's something that we really should take away from watching that finale? Not even just in terms of Corey's character, but just overall.
It's been a little while since I've seen it or read it. As I recall, there are massive changes that are underway, not just with UBA, but with some of our major characters who may or may not face some very severe consequences to their actions. And I don't think there's been the kind of not even a minor key, but like cliffhanger that the entire world is facing as it is at the end of season 3. Season 2, ended with COVID, and that was the uncertainty of the natural world collapsing on UBA and all of our characters. And this was more like the people within it have upended the entire place, and we don't know where they're going to land.
Yeah, I think the first 2 seasons ended with like a cut to black, and this one is it's like more hopeful, I think, in that last scene.
Well, maybe not so much for Corey
you.
and Bradley,
right?
Facing some jail time, I think, at the very least. But yes, there is some hope.
Last question, and this will be an easy yes or no, unless you want to go into detail.
No.
Corey, good one. Does Corey really love Bradley? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Yeah. And not. I don't think it's when he first says it in when they're walking together looking for her brother at the end of season 2. I think it's an emotional discovery for him for a feeling that he hadn't really had before, which is a genuine appreciation for who she is as a person. And he says this again and again. It starts out, the very first scene that we ever had, he looks at her and he goes, "Oh, you're a weirdo. I like that. You just like to turn shit over. That's cool. Let me support that." I think that kind of personality who wants to test the system, test their own resolve, is fascinating to Corey. And seeing Bradley apply that feature of her personality over time built in him a real adoration for that quality. And the only word that he could come up for it to describe it was that he loved her. He just loved her. And the way that it came out in that scene, it might be that he's also in love with her, but I never felt that myself. What I felt was that Corey has agency. He's got a tremendous capacity, a great intellect, a phenomenal promoter for people who may not sometimes take care of their own self-interest, which Bradley is notoriously terrible at. And his ability to support that kind of ingenuity in Bradley, I think made him feel incredibly protective of her.
Yeah.
And I think he is genuinely attached to her personality as a human being trying to navigate a very complex world, which he describes as love. But yeah, I definitely think he loves her.
Well, that is a hopeful note. So let's end there.
Oh, I meant to say yes or no. Yeah. Why did I elaborate?
Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much for watching.